Hello yet again, and welcome back to Compositing with Sam. This is episode 3, and in this episode we're going to take this image taken in Boston last year and we're going to composite it over a slightly altered design in Beyond Typicals. I have the photo here in GIMP. We're going to do just some minor edits. You can use Photoshop as well. GIMP's just something that I learned, and I want to show, if you zoom in, it doesn't look great here. And what I've done is I've used the magic eraser feature on Google Pixel to remove these cars, but now it's even worse. So we're going to try and clean this up a little bit, and then we're also going to pull out this sign and this pole as part of a foreground element, and then we'll have a background, and that way we'll have kind of two layers with the 3D geometry and Beyond Typicals sandwiched between them. So I'm going to kind of go fast through this part, but just note that what I'm doing is I'm cleaning up some of these vehicles, and then I'm just pulling out these elements into the foreground and separating this into two separate images. Alright, so I'm done with the clone tool. That's what I used here in GIMP. You can use the same in Photoshop, and definitely not perfect. You can see the difference between what we had in the magic eraser here and then what I have here. The reason that I'm going to get away with this is because we're actually going to be zoomed out on a lot of this, and we're going to have objects blocking that view down there in the distance. And so between those two things, this won't be noticeable, and to be honest, go back and look at the wipe and see if you noticed it before I pointed that out. So now we're going to pull the foreground elements using the free select tool. Alright, so now we're in Beyond Typicals. This is version 3. This is an early version, so if any of the elements are a little bit different than what you're seeing, that's why. This is the default project. We're going to want to go ahead and go to example projects and choose blank. And then I just always go to settings, total width, and turn that off. So we could build our road first, or we could open a btip file that someone else has built, or you could import the images and then build on top of it. I'm going to do the latter here. So we're going to go to the render tab, and then up here we're going to go to the photo compositing tab, and then we're going to do import. Now I imported both the foreground and the background. One thing you got to remember is I want to render this in 4K, so I'm going to switch that. That's going to change the final resolution. And then I want to make sure that the foreground is in the front and the background is in the back. And you could test that by grabbing a section and just bringing it in and making sure that it's blocked in that way. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and build out the section. I'm going to speed up this part. There are amazing tutorials on our website, beyondcad.com/tutorials, if you want more information on how to actually build street sections within Beyond Typicals. All right, so I built out my road section and kind of camera matched it in the process. And you'll notice that I have here 4 presets, and you can rename these. I just typically leave them preset, but I just want to go through those just to show my process of how I match up the camera. And usually I do it, and then I get it the way I think it's good, and then I realize it's not good enough, and so I make more adjustments. And so each one will get just a little bit better for me. And so now we have our final camera match. You'll notice also that I put a stop bar for this traffic, and I put it at the end because I want to see the traffic stopping. I'm also going to turn off the trucks. That's just going to make this whole thing look a little bit better. You'll notice the cars disappear into the ether. When I do the render, I'm going to do it in a way where you don't see that happen. And that's something that you need to be mindful of as well. All right, so now we can't see our labels. They're up too high, so we need to bring them down. So I'm going to go to label height, bring that down. And then if you want it for all of them, you go to save settings as default and then apply default to all labels. And so now you can see we have our labels here. And I also want to turn up the volume of our bikes just so that we have a little bit more, and the volume of our cars as well, just so that we have a little bit more. All right, so now it's tidied up, and now I'm going to make some test renders to see how it's looking. All right, so this is how it turned out. I did make a few tweaks, and a lot of times I'll do that between rendering the first drafts and the final production, just to make sure everything's in the right place where it needs to be to look as good as possible, and to communicate the project as much as possible, because that's kind of like the whole thing. So let me check my clock here. So it took just under 20 minutes, and a lot of that was GIMP photo editing, and so very efficient use of Beyond Typicals for another composite. This is Sam Lytle. I am the founder of BeyondCAD and the creator of Beyond Typicals, and I will talk to you in the next one.